Official lesson number 1. How to thrive with and support your narcissistic personality disorder loved one. You have to remember one very important thing. My child's here. He knows I'm doing a video. He just likes to talk as much as mommy. Vital to remember at all times that they're extremely very sensitive and volatile. No, it's just a video. I'm doing a video, remember? Yeah, a video. We're on a hike and it's really cute. Canyon. Kind of close to my house. Oh, there's Yarrow. Yay. It's always a good sign.
I love your video.
Oh, thanks.
You're talking it?
Yeah, I'm talking. Trying to teach people stuff that I learned.
I love your video.
So like they're super sensitive, and every single thing
Wow.
that you say, even when you don't realize.
This.
Oh yeah, nice.
Wow.
That's what Yuck wants me to show you.
A big leaf, Mom.
Yeah, very. Apparently I'm not gonna be able to do
A big
this.
leaf, Mom.
Oh good, can I do the video and not talk to you for a minute? Is that possible?
That's a big leaf. It tickled.
I guess it's not possible.
I'll bring some.
Well, that's really basically the simpleness of it.
There.
Is they're really sensitive
Bingo.
and super volatile and will instantly trigger and react. So you don't have to tread on, what is it? I don't know the saying. I'm trying to say the saying, but I don't know how to say the saying. I don't want you tiptoeing and being like so careful out of fear. And because you're like, oh, that's fight and flight. You're gonna make yourself sick if you're like constantly trying to be careful because you're afraid. No, like you want to be really sensitive and careful about what you say to them.
Show the video you did.
Okay. You want to do it out of wisdom and knowing of the situation, right? And clarity. So you're doing this calmly, peacefully, with the vibration and energy of calm and peace inside yourself, of knowing like this person's really sensitive and insecure and volatile because of things that are outside their control. They're not their fault. Wow, look at that. Loads of bugs. And we don't need to be mad at them for it. We don't need to be cruel to them for it. It's not helpful to sit there and tell them about it. It's not. No, we're going to go down this way. Well, we already went that way last time. I want to try this way this time. You want to go up there a little bit? You go by yourself. I'll wait here. I'll wait. Go ahead. Alright, well, I'll go with you a little bit. Let's go. I guess it's an uphill thing, so it'll be good cardio. It doesn't, you're not going to have a good response with these people calling them on it, like, oh, you're so sensitive and you're so this and that and the other, and that's why I have to be so careful with you. No, shut the fuck up. You don't tell them. Don't let them know anything. They'll figure that shit out on their own. They probably already know, and it already is irritating to them anyways. So just, you know it, and then tread softly and kindly, because you give a rip about them, and you want to make sure that you're not, to the best of your ability, because you're not going to be perfect, causing situations where they're going to be wasting their life force energy on the triggers because of things you said, not being sensitive or caring of their situation. Not every discussion has to be had. Not every issue has to be brought up. There's some things. Oh, The last time I went up this hike, I went up it with these same boots have zero traction.
No, going up.
You want to go up or go back down? Okay, keep going. So, not everything is worth a discussion because not everything's going to have a solution. And if you understand the nature of us as humans, we don't usually learn very well from lectures. We learn very well from natural consequences and our own epiphanies of self-awareness. And that's something we have to come to on our own. And so the best thing to do when you love people, yeah, go ahead, is be patient and allow time for people to become self-aware, authentically, altruistically, is that the right word?
What?
On their own. People cannot hear you when you're like, let me point out these negative aspects of you. Da 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 da. Super unlikely, right? So that's not going to be our solution. Our solution is just going to be take the actions that are best for us kindly. Okay, so tread carefully.
Carefully.
And if somebody is doing something that oversteps a boundary for you, like yelling, then you say carefully and kindly, not lecturing or whatever, like, hey, I'm not okay with the yelling, so I'm just gonna let's take a break from this, okay? I promise you we can talk about it later. We can come back to it once we both calm down. Even if you're not yelling, by saying both, like taking on more responsibility than what's really yours, it diffuses them. So they're not so much on the defensive mode. And then you just stop talking. You refuse to talk. And they might try to insist on continuing to talk. But if you're firm and clear, you should put headphones on. If it's going to irritate you to hear them and you're not going to be strong enough to just ignore them and not respond, that's what you do. You just don't. Like you already said, we're not talking about this till everyone's being kind and really hearing and listening. Now, what comes to mind is something that can happen is a person's going to want to insist and force you to have a conversation where they're going to start yelling more and they might get violent. What you have to do in that situation is call the police. You have to say, hey, like I was having this discussion with my child, partner, friend in person, and it got violent. Like yelling started to happen. And I asked them to please, let's not have this discussion until we can both be calm. And they got louder and more yelling, and so I'm afraid they're gonna hit me. Or violent stuff's gonna start happening. Can you please come and help diffuse the situation? They will come and help you diffuse the situation, and it might take a minute. And until then, you have to just stay super calm and super nice, because they're out of their minds at that point. They need to and want to control you and force you to whatever they want. So, other strategies that might help just to get the situation to calm down enough so that you're not putting yourself in harm is to say, okay, I'm sorry that I brought it up. You can apologize for areas that might be not necessarily true, but just to get them to calm down for that moment while you wait for the police to get there. I should be like, okay, I'm really sorry. Let's just let's just calm down. Everything's going to be fine. I'm really sorry. You know, you're right. I'm wrong. Like, that's lying. And that's not necessarily what we want to do. But what we want to do is keep ourselves safe. So as long as, and this is in my opinion, as long as we're clear in our heads that we're lying and just saying that to get them to calm down and we're not believing it, then we're not like true Stockholm Syndrome victims of justifying the abuse. What we're doing is using that same Stockholm Syndrome mentality while being fully knowing and clear that we're doing it intentionally in our favor to keep ourselves safe. So if they're really wanting to insist that we take, they're really wanting to insist that we take the blame for something, then we just do it for our own safety. Okay, so like I didn't mean this to go off in a direction where the police are being called, but there is situations where we're trying to just leave the conversation because it's, you know, they're yelling and being mean and violent, and we're not interested in participating in that, and we're setting that boundary where that person is going to want to insist. So what's going to end up happening is the police are going to come because you are going to call them, because that's what you have to do to get this person to understand your boundaries and respect your boundaries. And so then they're going to see, whoa, like this person's going to call the police to make sure that these boundaries are respected. So what there's a few things that they're going to do. They're going to respect the boundary and be more careful, or they're going to want to separate from you. So that might seem scary to you because maybe you don't want to separate from them because you're listening to this video thinking you were going to be with them and be happy. But let me tell you, if they are in a situation where they're separating from you in that situation, then they're letting you know, I'm not going to respect your boundary, and I know that. And I know that next time you're going to call the police on me again because I'm going to do this again. And that sucks because we're going to have to lose somebody that we really love and want to be around. But if they're being violent and disrespectful, they're being mean and yelling, then that's not something that we should ever tolerate or put up with or participate in. Then them choosing to leave us is the best case scenario, because then that empowers them in that they aren't, you know, when you have to force somebody out of your life that isn't trying to leave, that's trying to stay, that can get a lot more scary and exhausting than when they think that they're the ones that chose it. And like, I left you, so you've been discarded. But you kind of tricked them into it, right? So that's what we actually want. We want, I love you and I'm trying to do this with you, but if you can't respect my boundaries, if I don't want things to get escalated and violent, then you force your boundary, not by yelling or screaming and getting violent yourself, but by just calling law enforcement to help you diffuse the situation and keep it peaceful, which is what they're there for. Then you set that boundary really clear. This is what I'm going to do because I'm not going to be around yelling and screaming. Then they'll either learn to respect that and take space next time when you ask for it until everyone can be calm and cool. And then it'll fully diffuse next time without having to call the police. And then you can continue to be with that person because now they've heard your boundary loud and clear and respected it. Or they're going to choose to separate themselves from you. They're going to be the ones that choose to leave you. And then you have to love yourself enough to be okay with that and realize that that was the safer scenario. Because if you have to force them to leave, then it gets violent and scary and police have to be called anyways, right?
Mommy.
We can stay with these
Stop
people, but we
there.
do have to have our boundaries very clear and stick to them. So one of my boundaries is we don't yell and scream and be mean and violent to each other, or I'm going to call the police. And then I do. So there's been a lot of people that have removed themselves from me. They've left me. And I was happy to let them. But then there's other people that didn't. They learned to behave and to respect my wishes. Okay, they're allowed to stay. So that's the lesson number 1 of how to thrive and be happy with a personality disordered person. Set your boundaries straight and clear with them. From the wild mother's perspective.